Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead.
Next question. Yes, sir.
In Asia so long for?
15, 20 years ago, China was the place to be. In theory. We made a lot of money there. The Chinese government loved me. They brought me in to advise the sovereign fund. We set up an office. But the corruption was so... You can't send a kid there. And I wasn't willing to spend time there in China. You send a kid like that, they leave you for dead. We send our youngest son. They didn't leave him for dead, but I mean, he got a lot of scar tissue there. We were going to buy 18 power plants from the Hunan province. 18. Had all the papers and shit. We're at a meeting, we agreed a price, more or less. And whatever price you agree with the Chinese, the real negotiation starts after the contract signed. And we're sitting in a room, and I said, I want to go visit the closest power plant. And they said, it's 18 hours by car. So my young MBA son, Derek, says, well, Dad, I can have a helicopter here tomorrow morning, and we'll visit them one at a time. The next morning we showed up. None of the Chinese officials were there. There were no power plants. That's a typical Chinese deal. There were no power plants. Same things happened to me in India. And they normally take money from people that can't fight back. The challenge is, and the mistake they make is because I got plenty of money to fight back. There were no power plants. Derek, our youngest son, still has not gotten over that. The government, Dad. The Chinese government. They would do that, Dad? What are you, fucking a moron? And you're that naive. You go to these places, they'll fuck you for practice. Literally, they'll fuck you for practice. The sharpest person in this room would get raped. And then you'd blame it on QLA. QLA doesn't work. Another question. Yes, sir.
In the topic of China, you must have heard of the situation with the real estate from back in like 2013 with the whole real estate development and not being completed and whatnot. So people want to try and get the money out from the bank and whatnot. And apparently there's going to be a knock-on effects on the rest of the world. What's your take on it?
There are 25 million apartments, plus or minus, that have been built that aren't lived in China. 25 million apartments. It's Cleveland times 1,000, but there's no tenants. There's 2 or 3 tenants in every building. A manager, whatever. They built these cities up, and nobody lives in them. It's not untold in the news. Some of the news talks about it. Al Jazeera does. 25 million apartments in 7 or 8 or 12 or 14 cities. They will never be full. Never. That there's private equity hedge funds that have invested in. I don't know. Grant, if you invested, let me know. But somehow the disseminating the information to the public gets lost. I can only speak to my 18 power plants that weren't there. And I was sponsored by the government. The government loved me. I was there to turn around their sovereign fund. And when I was there with Sally, there was an 80-year-old guy, a decent guy, who could do 300 or 400 push-ups. And he had 2 or 3 young assistants that were 18, 20, 25 years old. that were his mistresses, and they send your hotel room and that kind of shit. And I said, Sally, you go to the door. I'm tired of telling them to go away. And so, and that's how they do business. They take pictures of you in the hotels, having sex. They drug you. And that's the norm. That's the norm. Yet you'll still go there. Because you're fucking stupid. Or you can't get your dick sucked someplace else. And that's how it is. And it's no different in the Middle East. I don't know if it's gullibility. I don't know the right word, guys, gals. Whatever I can't put my hand on the right word. But I just call it plain stupidity. Other question? Yes, sir.
How many years does it?
Mike, please.
How many years does it take for somebody who's trying to get from a fucked up cunt to a toughened up person?
I can't tell you. But it's the 5 person that you're spending your most of the time with, you and your dipshit young partner, wherever he is, okay? You guys couldn't find your own dicks if you had your hands tied in your pants. You're fucking both morons. You are, huh? I mean, you don't know whether to shit or go blind. You know, there's 1 or 2 of you in here that because of experience you have a little more knowledge, but most of you are just idiots. You deserve to get raped, fucked, pillaged. And you will. You know, as our daughter says, I decided to have rich parents. And our daughter, Kelly, who's 35, going to be 36 in actually a few days, is pretty worldly. Only because of us, Sally and I. Not because of the prestigious 2 schools she went to. She didn't learn a goddamn thing in those schools. And when she would sit around in most of the classes, when she was undergraduate and graduate, were Asian. The kids, you know. And then when she would tell stories about her parents, and she tried to play down that she came from a castle, blah, blah, blah. But eventually somebody would Google fuck and say, is that your dad? And Kelly would say, who? And I said, the castle man, but yeah. And he said, and so they learned not because the kids were bragging about it, but the kid, you know, people, you know, you have a roommate in grad school, you know, what does your dad do? My dad's retired. And that's what my kids said for many, many years. And I'm semi-retired, that's true. And, but then they found out that the Chinese kids, he was with, in Hunan, and he advised the sovereign fund. Well, I'm not being bad, not too many people advised the fucking Chinese sovereign fund. And he advised the Kuwaiti sovereign fund. And he advised more recently Norwegian sovereign fund. There's nobody out there that has advised those 3 funds except me. Nobody. And there's you. And I tell them the same thing. You're going to make the calls. You've got to spread, and they don't, when you're talking to the chairman of the Sovereign Fund of China, he's not making any fucking calls. Can you partner up with it? No. Because protocol is they have to call us first. Well, you won't live long enough for those fuckers to call you. And it's a whole other level of bullshit you got to go through. But there's certain things they won't do. It's like when I was associated with Siemens. There's a right way, a wrong way, and a Siemens way. There's a Bosch. There's a right way, a wrong way, and a Bosch way. And she was with Bosch. There's a right way, a wrong way. And you can't get over that. And that's what's wrong with the political system, in my judgment. You know, there's not that much difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. There really isn't. They ostensibly both want good. They have slightly different definitions of what's good. But nobody wants corruption. Nobody wants this. Although there is corruption in both parties. And that's why I plan on making a statement here in Angus and getting down to Westminster. And, you may have hated Trump, but he changed politics forever. And so they'll say something similar about me. You may hate me, but I'm going to change politics or die trying. And that's why they say that they're afraid of me. They don't want to, because everybody in politics in this country has a skeleton. Very few, it's considered not British to bring it up. Well, fuck, I don't care about that. It's like all the money, not all, almost the money in Britain has been made on off of the back of slavery. Yet nobody talks about it. Nobody even mentions it. But it's true. Other question. Yes, sir.
Mine's more of a comment, and that is that
Duncan, are you around? I want another drink, please. Go ahead.
So I know you have all your information online.
Correct.
That's what gets
98%, not 100%.
So that gets, like for me specifically, it got me started. The energy started flowing, hearing it over, then repeating it, and then just kind of getting it through. But when you come here, there's another switch that kicks on, like I say, like a match. There's something that lights that, I don't know what it is specifically, but there's something that when you come to the seminar that lights up, and then all of a sudden it feels like everybody feels like they've got the idea and got it figured out, which I don't think you can get that same feeling by just watching your YouTube videos.
No, I realize that. But, and I realize when I put the seminars, 5 or 6 seminars online years down the road, but it's the best we can do because I'm not going to be here anymore. But 99% of the kids that follow QLA, I've never met. So I know it's doing a lot of good. But I've been preaching the same shit for 50 years, 30 years to you guys. And it's like BBC, who you guys saw, a little gal. It's like I'm an overnight success story or some shit. But I've been here 40 years, and I've been preaching this crap for 50 years and 30 years as a mentor coach. But somebody told me, Costa Gracias of Onassis said many years ago, Mr. Peña, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. I didn't really know what the fuck that meant. I kind of think I know what it means now. But I've been around a long, long time. And some of the oligarchs, several of the royal families in the Middle East, I've coached. Whether they admit it or not, it's not my problem. But the shit works. You can't find anybody that can tell you the shit doesn't work. And that's because it does work. But, as Sally would say, she told me this 25 years ago, there's a reason why more people don't follow you. In addition to, my obnoxious way that I deliver, and they shoot the messenger before they hear the message. But because nobody has had the temerity, whatever the word is, to do it. And this, there's 20, 30 terrific gurus out there. But they haven't done this. They just haven't. They haven't created generational wealth with anybody other than themselves. And I don't take that away from them because everybody has the right to make a living, in my opinion. But most of the guys are selling, and gals are selling shit that they want to repeat, the golden circle, whatever, the upsell. And so fine, that's great. That's great for them. But because of you, the general public, your standards are so low. As long as somebody tells you you can do it and it's not that hard, you follow them. Nobody tells you it's impossible except me. Nobody. Ergo, hence, I have the lowest following in social media of any of the gurus. And Kat and my staff get requests, not daily, but certainly weekly. They want me to do a webinar, blah, 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 blah. And these guys and gals have done nothing. They want them to springboard their career off the back of me. So I can appreciate that, but I'm not going to do it. because they haven't accomplished anything. In the first benchmark or that I look at, as though they're telling everybody that they have other things to sell them, and almost everybody does, and they tell them that it's easy, because it's not easy. It's not easy. If it was easy, we'd have a gazillion people doing this, and obviously we don't. And again, it's hard to believe, you will not have any competition. You just won't. You may, fabricate some bullshit competition. We as I alluded to, we got the Harvard gal. I've got 2 Harvard double grads on the Hall of Fame. And I've had other Harvard kids come through over the years, but for whatever reason, although they said they wanted billions, when they got 100, and I'm not demeaning 100, 150 million. I'm not. If you've never had 100 million and you get 100 million, it's a big fucking deal, believe me. But, the additional work that was necessary to go from 100 million to 1 billion, which is a lot, they decided, not to do it. And I have nothing against that. But I've had a lot of people come through, I want to be billionaire. And they crap out. And it's not a demeaning crap out. They crap out at 100, 150 million. And those are bigger numbers than you ever thought of before. And 100, 150 million doesn't mean, well, I won't say it doesn't mean shit to me, but I've lost 200 or 300 million twice in my career. Of the gurus, I'm almost positive that none of the gurus have lost 200 or 300 million twice. I'm not bragging about it, but when I make a mistake, it's a big fucking mistake. I've laid my entire net worth 3 times. I've rolled everything I had on three bets. And all those bets didn't work out. So, I know what it feels like, even though you may not believe it. Sitting in this room with a Napoleon chandelier, my painting over there, my first wife's painting, who looks very much like Princess Di, because, in my judgment, Princess Di copied her hairdo, etc. But there are people that live more luxurious than this. Not many. Certainly none of you. But that doesn't mean that you can't. And TK, which, came from a trailer park. Sally came from they don't have trailer parks so much here in Britain. They have caravans, which is a kind of half-assed trailer park. And I came from the barrio.